Hall of Famer, John Elway, back on the program. John, how you doing?
Dan, how you doing? I'm doing great.
What's the is that a portrait or a jersey behind you there in your office?
It's a
Oh,
portrait.
you have you.
Well, I was trying. I did. It adds color, so yeah.
Oh, I didn't think you would have Montana behind you, but no, that's
Well,
that's
yeah.
very
That's
nice.
yeah, yeah. They
Did, did you did you collect jerseys from those guys?
I did not. I did not. That fad came after me. Yeah, we never really did that. Even though I have a Merino and a Montana. I do have some, but it wasn't something we did all the time.
Do you care where you're ranked all time when rankings come out? That greatest quarterbacks. How? I mean, I don't. You can't do anything about it now, but how competitive are you?
I think that everybody, you know, everybody has different opinions on different players. Obviously, we're all in different situations. I think you just like to be in the conversation, right? That's the key thing is if you're in the conversation, then you did all right during your career. And I think that you look at all the great quarterbacks that I played against that during our time that I have so much respect for. And sure, we were competitive when we were playing and wanted to be the best, but ultimately win football games and try to win world championships. And so, yeah, we were all competitive. But what's funny is I think, once we get away from the game, we were good friends during while we were playing, but probably better after we got done.
But do you think you're better than Joe Montana or Tom? Like, do you have to have that mindset to play the position that you're the best at doing this?
Yeah, I think so. I think that it's when you're going through it, obviously certain guys do some things better than you do. They say, well, I wish I could do that a little bit better, do it as good as Danny. Danny obviously had a tremendous release and got rid of the football quicker than anybody. But, I think ultimately you have to believe that you're the best and that nobody can do it better than you can. I think that that is a mindset you have to even have a chance to get into the conversation.
Yeah, Marino was so ahead of his time with that five wide, no running back. I mean, they were running what you're running now. Did you ever think, hey, let me talk to coach and see if we can run the same thing in Denver?
Yeah, well, I think that we were all kind of jealous of what Danny was doing down there because, like you said, I mean, 1984, I think he threw for 5,000 yards, right? And that was in a 16 game schedule, and that had, back then you just wanted to hopefully get to, it was really 3,000 was a good number, and then if you got to 4,000, that was like over the top, and then Danny in his second year. He got what do you have, 48 touchdowns and
Yeah.
over 5,000 yards. And so he got there in a hurry. And yeah, from that point on, I think, statistically, we're all chasing Danny because he was, setting the world on fire.
Trying to assess these rookie quarterbacks. I mean, even drafting, like, how difficult is it? You play the position at the highest of levels, but you're trying to find a quarterback when you're with the Broncos. What is it that you're looking for, and maybe what is it that you missed with these quarterbacks?
Dan, I think it is such a combination. You have to have not only do you have to have the quarterback, but I really believe even more important, because all these kids coming out of college that are high draft picks, they are all great athletes, can throw it, can make all the throws, can move around. And, I think the key thing is to get them in the right situation with the right coach, offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, or head coach. I think is so important because how these kids are brought into the league and how they are brought along. Because, as you know, there is no patience anywhere in the NFL when it comes down to waiting on a young guy, especially at the quarterback position, to get used to playing in the NFL because it's a huge, huge jump. And so, not only is it tough to find, it's hard to see what's inside. You can see it on tape, but it's hard to see what's inside. But I think the most important thing is that combination of a head coach or, as I said, an offensive coordinator that brings that quarterback along slowly, doesn't put them in situations where they're over their head, and because as you know, the criticism in the NFL can be a lot. And I think, and I always say this too, especially those high picks, they've been great in high school, they were great in college, they've always been great athletes, and they've never experienced a lot of negative press. And I think that a lot of times the world can start caving in on them when they don't have success early, especially if they're put in situations that they can't handle, because not only is it the complication of the offenses in the NFL, but also what they're doing defensively. And that takes a lot of time. And obviously, you got to be patient, be able to do that, which I think, Sean Payton's doing a great job with Bo Nix in Denver. Why you're seeing him have the success that he's having because of the way that he's bringing them along. Obviously, Vance Joseph's got the defense going. They're playing great defense to where they're not loading everything up onto that quarterback and expecting him to win football games week in and week out. And so I think that's the progression. And I think that's why, the success rate is not as good as it should be because of the fact of the combination of the player, but also the combination of the situation he's getting put in.
Talking to John Elway, the Hall of Famer. Tom Brady once said if he was drafted in the first round, he wouldn't have survived. You started, Peyton, you guys were probably in over your heads those rookie years. And here's Brady, maybe the greatest quarterback or certainly the most decorated. He said, I needed to sit and watch. You didn't get that luxury. How over your head were you that first couple of years?
Dan, it was fortunate and not looking back on it at the time. Because my rookie year, I started the first 4 games. The first 2 games I played, I got benched at halftime. Steve DeBerg was our backup. And actually, I got benched at halftime in Pittsburgh, and then we went to Baltimore. I got benched. Fortunately, Steve came in. We won both those football games. I started the next 2 games. And then Dan said, "Hey, listen, we're gonna make a change." And so Steve DeBerg I ended up getting benched after my 4th game, and which actually was the best thing that could ever have happened to me because Steve DeBerg came in, played the next 4 games, and I had a chance to stand on the sideline. And so this is where I agree with Tom and the fact that the perspective of not being in the middle of the heat and having a chance to be the backup, watch from the sideline was a big, big plus for me. And then Steve ended up getting hurt in the 5th game, and then I was back in, and he separated his shoulder, so I played the rest of the year. But that 4-week period that I sat on the bench helped me tremendously for the next time when I end up starting the last half of the season. So I think it's always good to, not to be in that fire right away to get a real good feel of exactly what's going on because nobody knows what a big jump it is coming from college football to the NFL, especially at the quarterback position. And so, like I said, that 4-week time that I got benched was probably helped me the most of any time in my career.
Steve Young has said on numerous occasions on this show he wishes he was playing now because they protect the quarterback. They're begging you to run. They protect you when you run. And he said that it's too easy now. What do you think about you in today's game, given your skills?
Well, I think that, yeah, obviously the rules have changed and they're making the game a safer game, which is a good thing, taking some of those unnecessary big hits out of the game. Obviously the quarterbacks are getting protected a lot more. You can't, my biggest fear was, defensive linemen falling off guys and hitting me in the legs when I'm, throwing a 25-yard comeback, all my weight's on that front leg and they can't hit there. And the other thing I always say too was, I get asked many times as well, who hit you the hardest? And it was usually the ground when they were on top of you and they landed on top of you. The ground is what hurt the most, right? So they can't land on you anymore either. So, but that's the transition of the game. I still, obviously what they do with the game and the passing game, how important it is now that and you don't get hit as much, but it's still a physical game. And I still say I wouldn't trade when I played, back in the 80s and 90s to now, just because the game's changed, the camaraderie's changed. The locker room to me was a place that was almost home for me. And I think all that stuff's changed with the amount of money that's out there. That's all changed. But you know, even though I wouldn't change it, I'm not going to say it wouldn't be fun to play in today's game.
When Fritzy said that we could get you on, and he said that you've been suffering Dupuytren, and for
Uh-huh.
people who don't understand, I have it. I have it in both hands.
Okay.
And so when Fritzy said that you have this, and you're working with a pharmaceutical company, and not, I had surgery on my right hand, and I haven't, and it didn't really clear it up. So help me understand what I can do. Explain the condition to the audience, because there are a
Well,
lot of people who have it and may not realize what they have.
yeah, you're right. It's amazing how many, I think 5% of the population has Dupuytren's contraction. It's really kind of a constriction of your hand, your fingers and your hands and the cords in your hands. It's a collagen buildup in your hands to where, your hand starts restricting. You can't put your hand flat on a table. I don't have a lot of pain with it, but it was more of annoying the fact that it's a condition that it doesn't go away, and it doesn't you can make it better, but it doesn't go away. So it's a progressive condition. And so I just went to Greek, our trainer, and said, what's going on with my hand? And so I didn't, to me, it was the annoyance. And so I end up with the non-surgical side of it. And so it was much better that way. I know surgically it's 6 to 8 weeks recovery, whereas the thing that I did was the non-surgical was, probably about a week to 2 weeks, and it's actually it worked in both my hands, and so I'm now able to, put my hands back on a table flat, and I don't have that constriction.
Oh, so how do you help me, John?
Well, you know what? You're supposed to go find your hand specialist and ask them about it, the non-surgical um, way to go about this, and be able to release the collagen and the cords in your hand so you can stop the constriction.
Yeah, I don't want to have surgery again. It's go to factsonhand.com for more information. Before I let you go, if I gave you 2 weeks to get ready, how far could you throw the football?
Ooh, that is a good question. If he gave me 2 weeks, I think I could probably eventually get it to 50 yards. I think, but not positive. But then the recovery time might be longer than the one time.
Have you talked to Bo Nix?
I have not had a chance to talk to him. I went out to OTAs, and obviously it just got to town, and so there was a lot of different things going on in his world and a lot of people pulling at him. But you had a chance to watch him, and I think Denver's in great shape. They're excited about what he's doing, and I think Sean and Davis Webb are doing a tremendous job and handling him and breaking him in the right way.
Good to talk to you, John. Thanks for joining us.
My pleasure, Dan. Thanks for having me.
John Elway, Hall of Famer. And yeah, I have that same condition. Both of my hands. I had surgery, I don't know how many years ago, but you can't put your hands flat on a table.